Hey there, Chad here, and welcome back. This is episode 4 of Pro Cycling Manager 23, a complete beginner's guide. And we're going to go ahead and move forward from where we ended the last video. Previously, we ran the first Cyanide Cup race. That's the first race of the season. And today I'm going to start Cyanide Cup 2, the second race. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at this email message that we got. This email comes out on the 4th when you choose the Pro Cyclist game. And it basically is telling you that you have the ability to select teammates, but you can't do it just yet. I'm not quite sure why they send this out now. Maybe it's so that you know that it's a possibility in the future. But you can read the message. It basically says you don't meet the conditions, but take a look anyway. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, you might be wondering what this is. Cycling is a team sport. We kind of mentioned that. Most races will have anywhere from 6 to 9 riders for any particular team. Can have less, but generally you want to have a full roster when you're racing. In the game, there's 3 criteria for you to be able to pick which teammates you race with. You have to be one of the best 2 riders on your team. I don't meet that condition yet. You have to be level 5. I haven't even finished level 1 yet. And you have to have a satisfaction with the team boss of at least 75%. We're doing well there, but I don't meet the other 2 criteria. So what would happen is if I met these criteria, and that'll happen later in the season probably, it takes a little while for me to get to level 5, but we'll get there eventually. I will be able to select which of my teammates are in any particular race with me. That becomes important because cycling, as mentioned, is a team sport. You generally have a leader of the team. It's the rider that is expected to be the most successful, and you build the rest of the team around to support that rider. Okay. This in cycling tends to be called, there's a few different things that happen in team building, but one of the things we talk about is having lead out riders. A lead out can mean a couple of things. One of them is it's a rider that's paired with another rider, and the lead out rider is expected to support the stronger rider who is expected to do well in the race. The lead out rider is there to put the star into a position so that he has the best chance to win. You may find in the game that you work well with a particular rider because of their skill set, and you may want that rider to be alongside of you in any particular race that you might want to run because it will give you a better chance at success. For any particular race, we can select up to 3 riders once we have this ability, but there's another cost here that we need to notice. You'll notice there's points listed here, and this will not be grayed out like this when we actually have the ability to do it. As you can see, I do not meet the requirements. But when we can, the riders, their actual abilities make this cost more or less. So initially, we're not going to have a whole lot of points to spend. I think we get like 10 points a month or something like that as we move forward. Right now, we don't even have any points on the season. One of the things we'll discuss as we talk about signing a new contract is we'll see how many points we're going to get from that team to be able to manipulate things like this in our calendar and things like that. But these team points that we spend, this is one of the things we'll spend those on. It's which riders do we want in what race with us. So if we discover that Silva, we're doing a lot of races with Silva, and that's working really well, we're able to work that balance between him and our rider. We may want to add him to races that we are expected to do well in so that we can utilize his skills to help us put ourselves in the best position possible. But it's going to cost these points every time we add one. So right now we don't have the ability to do it to begin with. I don't know my teammates well enough yet to know which ones would work well with me and which ones wouldn't. So we'll go ahead and skip that for now. And I'm going to delete that email. We will get, I believe we get a second notification once we have reached level 5 that says, yeah, you can start doing this. Let's go ahead and move forward to the Cyanide Cup 2 race. Okay, here's the team that our team director has selected. We are one of the riders, and we know a little bit about 2 of the other riders. We know a little bit about Funta now and about Fernandez. I do want to apologize now if I am butchering these Portuguese names. My apologies. That is not my strong point. Language has never been a very strong skill for me. I will do my best, and other than that, again, you have my sincere apologies if I am completely messing these up badly. What we do know about Funta right now is that he is good on the flats, he's good in the hills, and he is a barrador, looks like. He's very strong there. For Fernandez, we see that he's good in the mountains and the medium mountains, so probably a climber. And that's kind of all we know about them right now. They evaluate to, I'm going to call that stars, 3 stars. We see some stars for a couple of other riders, Lupez and Ruda, and we see that they're 2 and 2.5 respectively. And right now we're being ranked at 2.5. So we're about at the same level as Ruda, and we're a little bit behind these guys. As we level up, we get to adjust some of our stats a little bit, and we will pretty quickly start to move forward in this. Should be the best rider on the team, probably by the end of the season. By the end of the season, we would expect to be number 1 or maybe a very strong number 2. Now, as this is the actual race screen, we do have a briefing. We can take a quick look and see what the topography of the race is supposed to look like. This is going to meet some of our skills pretty well. We'll use our climbing ability here. And then, of course, we have the magazine, which gives us an interview, somebody to focus on, and it gives us a list of favorites. We are not listed. I don't believe any of our teammates are either in looking at that. I think we do know a little bit. So generally, we don't know anything about any riders yet. But in the first race, I did do an inspection of Christoph, and we did learn a little bit about him, including all of his major stats. So he's a pretty strong rider there. Not so much in the mountains, but those flat and the cobble ratings, those are really good. He's a sprinter, it looks like. Solid rider there that we will be competing with. Okay, we're going to hit 3D race and jump ahead to the start screen. Okay, so we're about to start the race. I hit O and P as the screen came up. O turns on the windsock, which is right here. It looks like the wind is coming from the rear and our left. So I have a little bit of a tailwind, although it's going to turn into a pretty strong crosswind up here. The wind is listed here at 5. I'm assuming that's kilometers per hour. And then we have our race strategy. I'm going to go ahead and close that and open it. It's the same window, just present it differently right here. So my objective from the team director is to head the group for 20 kilometers with at least 1 teammate. This is the easiest of the objectives to complete, and I'm going to try to do that right away. I want to do it right off the bat, get it done, then I don't have to worry about it later in the race. In order to set myself up to do that, what I will do, we're already pretty close to the front here, but I'm going to hit R to set up relay. I use relay when I'm trying to lead the peloton. I don't know if it's more efficient or less efficient than effort cursor, and we will talk about how these kind of interact here in just a minute, but let's go ahead and get this set up and get the race started. I'm going to bump it up to 75, and then I'm going to hit the plus to go to 1 times speed, and we should see ourselves move forward. There we go. Right now, I'm the only rider that I can control. It won't allow me to control anyone else. Sometimes in the pro cycling mode, you will have access to some of these other riders, but I don't right now. This is an attack happening in front of us. I'm going to go ahead and let them go. And as I talked about in the last video, while Lupez here may want me to come back and help him out, I am under no obligation to do that, at least not from an experience perspective with respect to the game. So we're just going to churn along here, and if we look, yeah, we've led for 2 kilometers. So it's really all I'm going to do initially is have that effort go. I'm going to change it from relay here. I'm going to change it over to effort by hitting E, and you'll notice no real change in what's happening.
Uh-oh, the pack is quick in the pace.
It feels to me like when I use effort, my bar drains just a little faster than if I'm using relay. Let's see. So that was effort. Now we're going to go to relay. And it probably is my imagination. I'm not really seeing a difference at all there. Now that I'm putting my mouse over there to watch it. Why don't we talk about those here real quick? Interesting. Up here comes an attack. Let's let that attack go. I was going to say, interestingly enough, there's nobody in front of us just yet. The attacks that attempted didn't succeed. I think this one might succeed, at least with the single rider there. He'll probably pull away from us for a bit. Who is that? Yeah, let's see what happens with him. I'm going to see if I can inspect him or observe him. I'm not sure I actually can, but we'll kind of keep tabs on him as the race goes on. Okay, so let's real quick, I'm going to pause it. We're already more than half done. And again, you want to, when you have an objective like this, you want to exceed it by 25% to get maximum experience. Particularly earlier in your career, the experience is very important. It's what allows you to become a better rider with your attributes down here. I'm going to move forward just a little, get that motorbike away so I'm not having to hear that. I probably have the sound turned down in the video so that you don't hear it, but it was driving me crazy. Let's talk about these icons here. Now, we went over them last time, but I want to point out how I use a couple of these. The three that I use the most are maintain position, effort cursor, and relay. When I'm in a group or when I'm at the front of the peloton, I will tend to use relay. What relay will do is it will try to cooperate with the other riders in your group or at the head of the peloton, and that allows you to use just a little bit less energy. So each rider will take a turn at the head, and then they'll peel off and drop back a bit and fall back into line. That's also how a sprint train gets set up, and we will demonstrate that in a future video. Real quick, related to relay is this one, which is infinite relay. Somebody with this selected will try to hold the front of a relay line indefinitely. It's not uncommon to use this late in a race. This one is the effort cursor. It's also referred to as free effort, and it's probably the easiest to understand. This is where you literally set the amount of effort that you're planning to use right now. If you set it to 75, it will use 75% of your maximum effort, and it will just go. It's similar to relay, except relay will basically say, hey, there's folks around me that are putting out effort as well. Let's share some of that load, and that way I can conserve a little bit of energy. The effort cursor doesn't do that. It just runs. I'm going to back the effort down here and see where these guys decide to pass me on. Those guys are all doing a breakaway. But the folks that are here in the peloton with me, I'm down to 55 now, and they're still not wanting to pass me. And finally at 50 here, it looks like they're going to say, okay, enough of your shenanigans. We're going to pass you and we're going to take over. Actually, we're down to 42 now. Into 40. They're still not passing me. But in time, they're going to say, yeah, we can't keep this up. We've got to go around you. There they go. And they will continue to move on. And then I put it in relay, and I'll try to keep up with them for a bit. At some point, they'll decide I'm not pulling my weight, and they'll try to break away. And finally, let's talk about this one, which is maintain position or hold position. And this one, too, is kind of straightforward, at least its name is. What it will do is try to hold your current position in the group that you're in. So in this case, we're in the peloton. It's going to try to keep me close to the front of the peloton, maybe not exactly, the fourth wheel back, but it will keep me close to this position. Here's where the magic of maintain position is, though. Where the effort cursor had me set the amount of effort that I intended to spend immediately, and it would just hold that amount. Maintain position allows me to set the maximum amount of effort I'm willing to spend to hold my current position. Let's jump ahead here a little. I'm going to set this to 75. So I'm telling it to only use 75% of my maximum effort to hold the position. And it's flashing red, and what that's telling me is 75 isn't enough. You're going to have to use more. So if I go up to 81, that looks like that'll hold my current position where I am in this group. Now, if I went higher than I need to, it won't use the extra energy. If it still only needs it to be 75, even though I have it set to 84 right now, it's only going to spend 75. And as you can see, I just jump up to 99. I don't go take off and start passing people. It's still only using that 80, 81, 82 that it was requiring to hold the position. We can decrease this number and kind of figure out where the effort amount has to be in order to maintain. And so we went way down, and clearly that's not enough. It was flashing. Right now it looks like 76 is enough effort. Again, if I bump it up above that, it'll only use 76 with its calculations right now. Again, I'm pushing it up to 99, and we are not passing people. But here, I change it over to the effort cursor, and I take off, and I go flying past people at 99. Now I'm in the front at 90, kind of holding steady with these guys, down to 85, and then we're going to go into relay. In the future, we'll do a video where we're in a breakaway, and we'll use relay and see how that actually works. for all intents and purposes. I really only need effort and hold position right now. Okay. Now I mentioned there was a caveat on this. If I drop this down to 75 to do this climb and then I hit hold position, I'm going to fall backwards probably immediately. Of course, now I'm not seeing that. Yeah, there he goes. He's falling back a little bit. And when that happens, I think to myself, well, isn't it supposed to hold the position? Shouldn't it keep me up front? And the answer to that is what it's doing. It's just not doing it quite the way I expect. Do you remember this guy? Let's zoom in on this over here. These three bars represent your position inside your current group. You're either in the front of the group, the middle of the group, or the rear of the group. When I say hold position, it's not saying hold my position as the first rider. It's saying hold my position in the front of the group. So I could slide back a considerable amount, and if it still considers that to be the front of the group, it's only going to maintain enough effort to keep me in that portion of the group. It's not going to maintain the energy to keep me at the front of the peloton or the group that I'm currently in. And remember, effort is only one part of the formula. The other one is which attribute is being used right now. Downhill, I'm decent at 67. That's not a horrible number, but flat, I'm at 57. That's just not a good number. And then in the mountains, I'm at 68 and 69. That's where my rider tends to shine. Now, you'll recall, though, mountain doesn't mean the type of terrain. It means the amount of effort. Mountain is 85% effort or less on a 3% grade. Again, that is a concept we talked about in the previous video. That is a concept that is very difficult to solidify in my head and maybe yours as well. Mountain, hill, and medium mountain has nothing to do with the slope. It has to do with the effort. If you're having questions about that, jump back to that other video and take a look at that again. All right, let's see how this pans out. We're coming up to a big hill here. I think this goes up to like 9%. Here we go. Up to 6% now. I think it will get steeper than that a little bit further up. Yep, up to 8, 9. Now if I hit hold, I'm going to hold for now because I wasn't pushing quite as hard, but you'll notice some guys did a breakaway on me there. So I'm back to effort. And now we'll go to hold. I had a mini breakaway there for a moment. I'm going to go back to effort. I don't want to get dropped because this group is really dynamic right now. Has some splits. We can drop our effort way down and we can kind of try to judge how hard they're pushing. So they're not really pulling away from us at 70. That's probably what they're riding at. If I go up to 75, we'll probably eke away on him a little bit. Yeah, there we go past him. Go back to hold. And we're almost out of water. Hopefully a teammate decides to get water here soon. If not, I'm going to have to go back on my own and do that. I'm going to go back to effort. And again, we rocket right back to the front. Slow down just a touch. Okay, so we're flirting with heart rate of 140, and I want to talk about that for just a moment. I'm going to hold position, which lightens you up just a little bit. And I want to try to get down to 140. Of course, I'm not putting out enough effort to stay with the pack right now, so I need to monitor that for a second. And there really isn't a good flat spot in the rest of this race, unfortunately, to talk about this. But let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to go ahead and pause it. Right here's my heart rate. Right now it's 175. And my bars are going to decrease because I'm putting out a lot of effort right now. If we advance, you'll see that things are ticking away ever so slowly. If I go up to 85, it's going to be using even more energy and going a little bit faster. The magic number on heart rate is 140. If your heart rate is at 140 or below, you will tend to gain back or recover. It puts you into recovery mode and you will recover your energy. That's very important, particularly late in a race. The amount of energy recovered, or the speed that it gets recovered, has to do with the length of the green bar. And as you recall, green bar does not grow back. It only goes down. These bars can come back and forth. They do lose at the end here over time. I don't recall the exact factor that makes them disappear, but effectively it's when you run out of energy, they tend to chew down very, very quickly. As long as these bars are full, these will chew down, but not quite as quickly. Once this bar gets really low, these start to become really, they'll drop very, very quickly, and it's very difficult to bring them back up. But the magic heart rate is 140. If you're below 140, you will be in recovery mode, and you will tend to gain these back depending on the length of this bar. When it's all the way out here, it's practically instantaneous. It's like 2 seconds and you're all the way full once your heart rate drops down. When we're here, you'll notice I'm having trouble even getting it down to that level, even on the downhills. So if I go into hold, of course the downhills aren't long enough to really make it work. Let's see if we can get to the next one, or to a flat. We were at 12% there for a moment. I'm really tearing it up for this race. I'm gonna be dead at the end. I'm probably gonna bonk just before the end. Okay, we should be hitting flat here. Yeah, we're in flat now, so let's take a look at this. I'm at 168. I'm going to go into hold, and let's see if I can get it to drop. Well, we're back in a steep climb again. I was looking at the wrong part of the line there. We should be dropping into flat here. There we go. So even though we're on a perfect flat, I can't get my pulse to go down right now. I'm having to put out too much effort, and that has to do with where we are here. This amount of effort before, this wouldn't have been a problem. Now we do have water again, but I just can't get my heart rate to drop. Let's see if it goes on the downhill. Okay, so there we're ticking down 150. I'm going to drop this way back. And now we're in recovery, and as you can see, that bar is climbing very, very slowly. Earlier in the race, when my green bar was much, much larger, that would have just flown in that direction. It would have been cooking. So maintaining green bar is very important because it affects how quickly you recover or how much you recover. All right, I'm going to try to ride this out and see what happens. I will jump back in when I decide to use my gel. I'm actually going to use it now and hope that it hits right about the time we get to the steepest part of this last hill, last main hill. Although we have fallen way off here, haven't we? Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to get that back. Maybe I will. Can we get back to the peloton? We did, just barely. My gel should kick in right about now. There it is. So I can try pushing a little harder. As you can see, I have bonked out though. I am out of energy. So I'm just going to go ahead and go in hold and push it to the top, and I will just kind of do what I can to survive the rest of the race. Because I have a really good hill climbing ability, I probably won't end up in horrible, horrible shape. Probably be in the 30s or 40s is what I'm thinking. Because I'll get some recovery here, although I probably should dial this down to maximize that. But as you can see, I got some recovery. Chewing through it again because we're on a slope again. But my competitors probably won't be as good on the slopes. They're going to probably start to fall off, and I'll start passing a few of them. Yeah, we've fallen way off now. Take advantage of this downhill. Earn some of that back. They're crossing the line. That's why it slowed down. I'm 4.5 kilometers behind. This ends on a slight uphill. I'm going to go ahead and just try to gain as many positions as I can. I might even pass my teammate there. And I can sprint actually. So 48th, yeah. Probably could have done a little better if I'd managed it better at the end there. Okay, this has been a reasonably good video on at least how some of these cursors work. It is confusing, it is not entirely intuitive, but the things to remember are the hold position allows you to set the maximum amount of energy you want to expend, or I should say maximum amount of effort, although effort relates to energy, that you're willing to spend in order to maintain that position. It's a very important mode, and you should use that a lot. Effort will tend to push you forward. Relay is not one we've used a whole lot of, and in situations like this where you're in the peloton, relay and free effort tend to do roughly the same thing. We will continue with this series. I think in the next race we'll probably get the ability to control one teammate. That will give us the option to see how we start to set up sprint trains and things like that. And if not, we'll skip that race and we'll find one where we do get to start controlling some teammates, and we'll move forward in how this darn game works. So let's take a quick peek at the results. The team did well. I did not do so well. But if you jump out here, I led an exceptional amount, and I had a teammate that finished 5th, so I ended up with 18 points. My guess is 9 of those was probably from this, somewhere between 6 and 9, and then somewhere from 9 to 12 points was due to him finishing 5th. So that's good, and our manager was pleased. Okay, there you have it. Thanks for watching this time, and until next time, fair travels.